I'm getting interrupted by adverts all the time. But I was thinking, okay, I'm struggling to survive, and I've got to use credit cards all the time as well, a lot of the time, and I don't like using them because you've got to pay it back, and how the fuck can you ever afford to pay back a credit card? But I'm thinking, how many families in 2021, I know you've got this coronavirus and all that, but even without this coronavirus, imagine even without the coronavirus, every year mothers have to buy school uniforms for their children, don't they? Yeah? How much does a school uniform cost per child? 50 quid? 100 quid? I don't know. But I'm thinking, mothers have to look after their children, yeah? But every year your children grow, don't they? The funny thing about childhood is that every single year your child grows about an inch, if they're lucky, sort of thing. You know, children grow, and they get bigger and bigger. So every year you've got to buy a new school uniform for your children. I don't know how many children you have. If you've got one child, you're quite lucky probably. But what if you have 4 children or 3 children or whatever? Even if you only have 3 children, 2 or 3 children, you've still got to buy a school uniform for them every year, which is probably going to cost you about £100 a time, 300 quid. It's a lot of money when you haven't got a lot of money. And I'm wondering how, because you've got to heat up your house when your kids are home, don't you? Parents, you've got to keep the house warm for the children, don't you? I spend about 30 quid on my electricity. I can imagine that you spend a lot more than £30 for electricity, don't you? If you've got to keep a house warm for your kids, I dare not think how much your electricity costs you. Then you've got to pay the rent and the mortgage or whatever. And I suppose if you've got a car, you've got to pay for the car. And when you look at the car prices, you've got to get a loan to buy a car, don't you? You probably about 15 grand for your car, for instance. If you've got children, you've got to carry them to school. How can people really afford to survive in the 21st century? Chances are you probably earn less than I do. Or you're unemployed. A lot of people are unemployed. Mainly because they get the rent paid by the council. Do you know, the fact is, if you've got a job, you've got to pay your rent, yeah? Now, if you've got a council flat, you're looking at 80, 90 quid. Well, 90 quid sort of thing for a council flat. Housing associations will get 120, 130 with the service charge. So I think the reason people don't go to work is because it's not worth the money for them to go to work, I suppose. Because if you're only 300 quid and half your wages go on your fucking rent, you're fucked. That's probably why people don't work these days a lot of the time. You're probably better off unemployed than you are working sometimes. That's how the system works, but it's wrong. It's crap, isn't it, really? The whole system is fucking crap, with or without this virus. The whole system is fucking crap. Because, I mean, let's face it, before the virus, hospitals had to rely on a lot more on charity before the virus. Hospitals had to rely on charity a lot more before the virus. But I bet a lot of people are struggling to fucking survive in Britain. I said the only answer is a 10% tax for everybody. And we tax everybody 10%, rich and poor. You take 10% of Bill Gates' fortune, 10% of everything. If you've got £1 billion, I'll take 10%, £1 million. Well, if you've got £1 billion, I'll take 100 million quid. If you've got 10 million